What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So we are just 1 week away from the Into the Inklands release at your local gaming stores, and I thought let's go ahead and talk about potential deck profiles. I'm going to start out with the deck that I have been playing. You've seen it on the channel. However, now we're incorporating actually more new cards than I thought we were going to initially. But without further ado, we are going to jump on into it. There was a few more reveals after putting this video together, such as the 1-drop Rafiki, which I felt was actually a pretty interesting card, and it probably will find its way into some of our Amethyst lists. However, I think that Captain Hook is a better card anyway, so we're not going to make that change here. In addition, I think the Lamp is a pretty strong 2-drop that I was considering putting in as well, and there's some others, but nonetheless we will talk about them in other videos. I'm still happy with this list, and it's going to be something that I start testing out as soon as it's available all on pixelborn. But yeah, so Into the Inklands, Amethyst, Steel. Can we shake up the meta? Is it going to be Ruby Amethyst still? Is that going to be the deck still? I think that Steel got quite a big boost, and I think Emerald got a huge boost. I think Amethyst got some pretty nice cards. Ruby, a lot of Ruby's good cards are uninkable though, so I'm interested to see where the game goes. I do have a video where I have a ton of rulings, tips, questions that I see asked in the Facebook groups all the time, putting it all together, answering them all for you guys to help you, whether you're returning, whether you're current, whether you're a new player, to try and help you with some of these rulings. But without further ado, we already said it once. What card type? So we are obviously playing 60 cards. We have 42 characters, 8 of the new locations, 8 songs, and then 2 actions that are not songs. No items in the deck, which right off the bat does mean no spellbook. One thing I forgot to put on here, our uninkable count, I think it was like 8, so 52 inkable, 8 non-inkable, which is actually really good. It's better than what we actually even try to go for. What about cost curve? We have 8 1 costs, 10 2 costs, 15 3s, and then our curve starts to go back down with 11 4s, 6 5s, 6 6s, and 4 7s. I think that Into the Inklands brings some really fun, powerful cards, such as our locations that we'll talk about. We're playing 2 of them. There's 8 total. 2 at 4, the Queen's Castle and the Bayou. I think both of these are going to see quite a bit of play. I think that Queen's Castle is arguably the best location in the game, so Amethyst gets that going for it right away. And then we also have Jafar, the 7-drop, who I think is incredible, and Steel has some nice toolbox cards that we're going to talk about. They actually had so many that the Little John package, among others, did not make it into the deck because we had to choose, and we're going to go over those choices and kind of talk about them as well. There's a lot of new cards in the video, guys. I'm going to do my best to go over them, why we choose them. I have it separated by costs, so we'll go through the 1s, the 2s, all of that, card by card, and talk about them. So our 1-drops, we're only playing 2 of them. We said there's 8, so that means we're playing 4 of each. We're going to talk about the Bayou first. So it's a Steel 1, 1 cost, inkable, cost 1 to move here, and it has 3 willpower. So how locations work? Essentially, you play them just like any other card, except you can see they come in, they look exerted. They're already turned. They're always exerted. You cannot play them forward, right? So they're exerted. Some of them do not have effects. This one does have the effect that when your character quests here, you can draw a card and then discard a card. Kind of like a Steel theme where you draw and discard. It's the theme of Steel, it's their draw power. It's pretty decent. So you have your 1-drop. You can play it on turn 1 if you want. Another thing that locations have, they have their lore value here. At the beginning of your turn, you get this value. So why Bayou? Why is it going to play? Because it's only got 3 willpower, right? So it's not going to stay on the board. It's not going to see play. It's not going to be good. I disagree, especially if you open this card. If you open it, you put it down. If you're going first, you open this, you put it down. They're not going to be able to do anything to get rid of it turn 1, so it's a guaranteed 1 lore. Then unless they like try to get rid of it. Turn 2, yeah, they could get rid of it by turn 2. There's some cards out there, but again, you're going to force them to deal with it right away instead of trying to build their curve and build their play lines. You're forcing them to play into getting rid of your cards right off the bat, right off turn 1. If they don't do that, you're going to get probably 2 or 3 lore out of this and draw 1 or 2 cards. So a 1 cost that gives you 3 lore and draws you 2 cards potentially, I think that's incredibly strong. And what about late game? Late game, it's not going to be good, right? There's no way it's going to be good. Well, I mean, maybe, but at the same time, we don't need cards like Spellbook because you can play this instead. They can attack this where they can't attack a Spellbook, or say like they Be Prepared you and you drop 2 Bayous on them. If they didn't put out characters, you're getting 2 more lore that way. So like, it's a very easy card to play to get multiple late game lore after something like a Be Prepared or in a very simplified game state. In addition to that, you can ink it. If you're late game and you know they're just going to wipe it out, you ink it. Another thing you can do, you can play it. You force them to deal with it because it's guaranteed lore, which means the characters you play are safe. So I think being a 1 cost, especially late game, like you have 7 ink, and you're trying to build a board presence, you're trying to get back in the game, you put this down and a couple characters, it's guaranteed lore without doing anything. They have to get rid of it, they have to answer it, they have to do something, otherwise you're getting the lore. So I think this card is actually incredibly strong, and I think it's super underrated because of the 3 willpower, and I think people are going to realize how good the Bayou truly is. Our other card then, our 1 cost. We're not actually playing Captain Hook in here either. I know I mentioned about Rafiki, but we went with Robin Hood. I was going to play Captain Hook too, but the deck started out way too big, and by the time I got down to 60, he did not make the final cut. So Robin Hood, it's a 2/2, 1 inkable, quest for 1 special. Why play it? Well, he's got a really, really good shift target that we're going to talk about when we get a little bit later. So not a whole lot more here to say. It's new card, it's inkable, 1 cost, 2/2, 1. It's a shift target. That's a pretty standard stat line for shift cards. Our 2 costs. Here, Jafar makes it back into our list. One of the not new into the Inkland cards. He's a 3/2, gains evasive on your turn. That means Minnie Mouse, he can deal with her. Against those Ruby decks, you can get rid of that Minnie Mouse, you have an answer for it. He's a 3/2 evasive on your turn. So he can he can challenge her, wipe her out with his 3, and her 1 does not take him out. That's pretty good. 2 cost, inkable, and in addition to that, Jafar is probably one of the best cards into the Inklands, and it just works out where we have a really good early Jafar play. Pinocchio came out. I like to be a little bit more aggro. Anyone who's been watching the channel knows that. If you haven't been watching the channel, Inkwell Gaming, Journey awaits. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below, all that good stuff. I think Pua replaces Pinocchio directly. It's a 2 cost, just like Pinocchio. It's a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, which means it still dies to swords. It still dies to a lot of the same removal. However, those pesky 1/3 turn 1 plays can't just attack him and take him out like they can a Pinocchio. It takes a bit more. He quests for 2, not for 3, so that's not as good. However, it is inkable, so I do think that it's a very good replacement for Pinocchio. And in addition, if you want, when this card is banished, you can put it into your deck instead of getting it into your discard. So that's just an option. And then our snake. Obviously, we're playing our snake. We said 10 2-drops. There is only 2 snake. I'm playing 4 Pua, 4 Jafar, and 2 snakes. I'm less focused on the bounce control aspect in this build particularly. I was going to keep it up at 4, especially for like plays a big tank late game. However, it's going to stay at 2, at least for the initial testing. Our 3 costs are split up into 2 categories because I didn't want to cram 6 cards into 1. So we have the old cards. The first 3 are our old ones. We're playing 4 Mimfox. Obviously, we're playing Amethyst. This is going to be, it's got Rush. It's a 4/3. It's overstated. It's this card's a 4 of in Amethyst. That's just how it goes. Friends on the other side. I was messing with a bunch of ratios, and there's another card that we're going to talk about here. We're only playing 2 friends. It's a filler card. It's a card that's needed. It's a card that helps you go plus. It's a card that draws you cards. So naturally, you're going to play it. It's going to be good. Why aren't we playing more? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. And then Tinkerbell. Tink can come down, and each turn, if you would like, you can exert her instead, draw a card, and discard a card to really help fix your hand, dig through your deck, and get to what you need to go for. Her 2/4 stat line is nothing to scoff at, and being a 3 cost means that when you shift on turn 4 for the big Tink, it is a very strong power play. What about the new cards? We're not going to spend too much time talking about the old. In with our new. First and foremost, we mentioned Friends. The boss is on a roll. So it's a 3 cost, it's a song, it's just like Friends, except you don't go +1 in the process. This card, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, place them in any order on top or bottom of your deck. I think that's a bit underrated. I haven't seen many people talk about this card. You get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. If they're good, depending on your game state, your situation, you can stack them in whatever order you want. You get to decide your next 5 draws. That is very strong. In addition to that, they're not good, or 2 or 3 of them are not good. You can put those not good cards at the bottom of the deck and further your chances. If all 5 cards are not what you need, it's late game. You need that 1 card to save you. Next turn, you have 1 turn, you have 2 turns. You have to get to that card. You play this, you look at the top 5, it's not in those 5, you would have lost the game. Instead, you put those 5 to the bottom of your deck, and now you get that 6th and 7th card. You might just win the game because of that. And did I mention, you also get a lore for playing the card? So it's a guaranteed 1 lore, and you get to fix your deck, stack your hand. Well, I shouldn't say stack your hand, stack your deck to be able to get to the cards that you need. We're also playing 2 of this. Space, I could see a lot of things kind of changing with testing, but for the initial testing, we are playing 2 bosses on a roll. Rise of the Titans. Initially, I wasn't going to play this card. I said it's going to be broken, it's going to be insane. Eventually. I didn't think locations initially were going to be that great. I was like underwhelmed with a lot of them. But then the good locations came out late, and I think it's worth it. There's going to be locations that are very pesky and very problematic, just for how underdeveloped the game is right now. The game is in its very early stages, so it's, I think, something that Steel has the benefit of, that you can banish it or banish a location off this 1 card. In addition, you can go after items such as Sapphire and their item ramping, their Fishbone Quill. You can go after spellbooks. You can go after flutes. You can go after lanterns. It's not just for locations, but this card I think has a ton of utility and is going to be very, very strong moving forward. I wasn't going to necessarily play him, but since we're on 8 locations, John Silver, 3 cost. He's one of the promos. Inkable, a 3/3 stat line. In addition, he gets resist 1 and 1 lore for each location you have in play. So what if you throw down, you get hit by Be Prepared and you have to build your board back? What if you throw down double Bayou and him? If they can't directly deal with it with something like a Lady Tremaine, he's your only character on board, something like that, he's going to be a 3/3 with resist 2 and quest for 3, and you're going to get 2 lore off those Bayous. That's 5 lore on your turn, a 3/3 with resist 2. He's going to be potentially a very strong card. If you're not focused on locations, again, he is not going to be good. However, I think this card is incredibly strong, and he's only a 3 cost, so I'm definitely going to be playing him. 4 costs. We have 4 of them. Our goat, our fox. Oh, three John Silvers, by the way. We have our goat. We're going to play 4 of him. It's the goat. Obviously, you're going to play 4. Just 1 rabbit. I was playing 1 rabbit already on my aggro lists. I felt that later game, it's not really the card you go for. We have other draw cards. It's just kind of a nice option and potential because it's a really good plus. So we are playing the 1 rabbit. Along came Zeus. It came down to this card or grab your swords, and I ended up going for this card because sometimes you need to get rid of those big problematic cards late game, and dealing 2 damage to everything just does not cut it. It doesn't help. So if you can do this and deal 5 to one specific one, or again to a location, potentially taking it out, I felt like that was the stronger route. So we are playing 2 Along Came Zeus. Queen's Castle is a 4-cost inkable, only costs 1 to move here, but it does have the 7 will, so that means it's going to be harder to deal with, and you get 2 lore, so that's going to be very strong. As if getting 2 lore and 7 willpower doesn't put the pressure on your opponent to get rid of it enough. For each character here at the beginning of your turn, you get to draw a card. So say you have 2 or 3 cards here. Let's say you have 2 cards here even. They have to pressure to get rid of this 7 willpower card, or you're getting 2 lore and drawing 2 extra cards. That is incredible for advantage. It is very strong, and in my opinion, it's the best location in the game. We have our 5 cost then. Robin Hood, again, this is the shift card. If he challenges and takes out a character, you get 2 lore. So he's a 3/6, a shift 3, very strong, big willpower. He quests for 2, and if you need to get rid of your opponent's cards, you don't even lose out on the lore. You can quest for 2, or you can challenge them, and if you take them out, you get 2 lore. In addition, if he gets taken out in a challenge, you get to draw a card. So he replaces himself. You'd never truly go neg. 4 of him. And then we are going to play 2, A Whole New World, at least test it, because this card synergizes with Jafar way too good. If you're playing the game, you know what this card does. Discard your hands, draw 7, and that's just the way it goes. We'll talk about how it works with Jafar in a second. Our 6 drops are standard older cards. I'm not 100% sure on the ratios I want to play in these. I'm playing 6 of them. Right now, I was debating on 4 tank, 2 Yzma, and then I was going to go 3 and 3, and then I'm like, I'm going to go 4 Yzma, because you can bounce your own card, draw 2 late game, which is very strong, very helpful, very good resource management. In addition to that, if you see something like a Cinderella, a Hercules, a problematic big card, that Chernobyl, I forget his name, the 10 drop, who's a 9/9. If you're staring down these types of cards, Tinkerbell's not going to do anything. Tinkerbell's not going to win you the game. Yzma, however, yes, they get to draw 2, but you clear that threat off the board. So we're going to test out 4 Yzma and 2 Tinkerbell right from the start. The last, the final, the boss, the main guy of our deck, Jafar. He's a 7-cost inkable, 4/5, shift 5. He has evasive. So again, we're sticking with that evasive plan, just like the small Jafar. You have him. He only quests for 1 though, so why is he good? Well, he's evasive, so he's hard to deal with. He only quests for 1. However, during your turn, while it's exerted, big thing there is while he's exerted, so your draw for turn will not count. Whenever you draw a card, gain lore. So, and that's not like, oh, I drew 5 cards to gain a lore because you drew 1 time. You get a lore for each point, or each card drawn. So you play a whole new world, you draw 7 cards. You get 7 lore off of him for that. And, well, what do you do then? Because you had to hard cast it. Actually, he can sing it, because when you sing it, part of the cost to sing it is exerting the card. So before the card effect plays and resolves, he is exerted. So he's exerted when the effect goes off, meaning you draw 7 cards, you get 7 lore. And if you're really crazy lucky, we're only playing 2, but if you're really crazy lucky, or you play 4, so you're more likely to, you hit another whole new world, you sing it, you draw, you get 7, then you hard cast the other one, you discard, you draw, you get 7 more. That's 14 lore, just like that. Pretty crazy, pretty excited. I'm, like I said, looking forward to this a lot. I really like the artwork on the card too. There's an enchanted version, a whole bunch of new cards here. But if you guys liked this, like, share, subscribe. I do have a couple other decks that we're going to run down and do this. Between Dreamborn and Pixelborn, hopefully they'll have the new cards all on them, and we can, instead of me making graphics, just use them for the deck profile. However, Like I said, we're going to have a few more of these. It's release week. We got 7 days left. We got a few more of these. And also coming up very soon is that tips, tricks, common questions, rulings video to help you understand the game and everything like that. Thank you guys for watching. Again, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. What did you like most? What deck are you playing into the Inklands? Take care, guys.